So a couple rules I want to go over. If you haven't been here before, welcome. This is a meeting where we recover out loud. We are not ashamed. We were out in the streets and doing all the things we did out loud. We're definitely going to talk about how we recover out loud. So there's no standard tradition to this meeting, and we will open up the floor and let you guys share your experience, strength, and hope, or anything you want to talk about or pray about. But number one, let's remember that it is a church environment. There is some family here. There's some kids here. Please watch your language. I know it slips, it happens sometimes in the passion. I'm a work in progress myself. So let's try to be mindful of that, as well as just be nice and keep it to I statements and keep it to your story. And I love the counsel of God, but we just don't have the time to do that in this format in this meeting. And with that being said, try to keep it down to 3 minutes on your share. So when we open up the floor for your experience, strength, and hope, let's keep that in mind. So with that being said, do y'all know what time it is? Oh, man, that was weak. How many of y'all got clean time in here? It's clean time. Yes. Come on, Ronnie.
All right, Ronnie, grateful believer walking in recovery from drugs and alcohol. All right. We're here at Overcomers. We like to celebrate what God has done in your life, whether it be from drugs or alcohol or another struggle that you're going through. What about 30 days? What about you got 30? Come on up, girl. Okay. Congratulations.
Oh, we got two.
There you go. All right. All right. What about 60 days? 60 days. That's what's up, girl. Yeah.
Thank you.
Off to a good start. Oh, by the way, okay, this guy, I love him, having him on a panel again up here with us.
Ronnie.
Like he started this with us, and Wes has 7 months also, man. All right, what about 8 months? All right, 9 months. All right. All right. Congratulations. There you go. And this is amazing because all these chips were down here just a second ago and it's almost empty. That's what's up. All right, what about 10 months? All right. Hey, that's what's up, brother. Yeah, man. All right, 11 months. All right, and going into the coins, like if you guys have multiple years, if you could let me know, and I'll special order them after 2 years, you know. All right, what about 1 year? What about 2 years? Even though that we don't have after 2 years, we would like to celebrate. So anybody with multiple years tonight? All right, that's what's up. That's what's up, Aaron. This is the hardest one to get. This is the most important, you know what I mean? Because it starts your walk with God. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to open up about your struggle, because it took me 20 years to be able to admit that I was an addict and an alcoholic. What about a 24-hour chip? All right. If everybody stayed sober from their struggle today, give God a hand.
I feel restricted. If I start walking and pull the plug, we're just going to have to go with it. Congratulations, everyone, on your clean time, really. So we want to talk about tonight, John chapter 5 tells us a story about a man who was lame on his mat for 38 years. And every year an angel would come from heaven and trouble the water. And the first one to get into the water claimed their healing. And while he was sitting there, Jesus came to this man and he asked him a question. And I'll tell the whole story, but I want to kind of break this down in pieces so it makes sense. He says, "Do you want to be made whole?" And the man immediately made excuses. He says, "Yeah, I want to, but I have no man to put me in the water." He says, "I want to, but every time the angel comes, I'm too late. I'm lame. I'm set on this mat. I'm stuck in the place where I've been for the last 38 years. How many of you know what it's like to be stuck somewhere? When I came out here to Dayton, Ohio, and I first got sober, how many Full Circle people we got in here? Alumni, baby. Hey. So I got into a treatment center. I'm gonna let that go, right? So it was Full Circle. And I had a plan because I was stuck in my past. I was stuck in my ways. I had a plan that seemed good to me. It was already laid out because everyone around me up until this point in my life told me, all you need to do is go get sober and get right back into life. Go get a job. go find a wife, get your kids back, and run out and get all these things. And the problem is God had set me aside for a reason and a season in order for what I want to be what I needed. Because what I wanted was I wanted a car to take off driving. Problem is I didn't want a license. What I wanted was the love of my life to come into my life and we just bond together. And the problem was I didn't know how to love myself. What I wanted was I wanted my cereal cold and I wanted my food hot and I wanted a whole lot of things, but I had no idea the time is there and Satan is a thief of time. The time that I had there was vital to me. I had a 90-day plan to get my mind right and to get up out of there and run back and go get a job somewhere when I can't even spell resume. I didn't need a job. I needed money. I didn't need a woman. I needed to find out what real love looked like. I didn't need transportation. I needed to humble myself to the process of what's happening and stop looking at how I think God should heal me and allow the process to heal me. I'm talking to somebody in here.
Yes, you are.
Listen, this is the beginning of the process. And I'm going to throw this out there too. I was at Full Circle for 1.5 years. And it was the best decision I ever made in my life because little by little, as I was in the right place doing the right thing by God's plan, He began to reveal things to me. So do you want to be made whole was the first question. So that's step one. Do you guys know who works step work in here? Who's got a sponsor, mentor? Oh, we need some work. Step one, simple program for complicated people. It's simply this. When I was young, Grandma, when I would act up, would tell me, go get the switch, boy. I'd show up with that switch and it was too little. She'd say, go get another one. That ain't the right one. Go get another one. Come back with that switch and she would light me up. But she always asked me a question at the end of that. Have you had enough? I said, yeah, I had enough of them whippings. Now I got to figure out how to not get caught. So with Grandma, I'm trying to figure it out, but somehow she always knew, and I get caught and I get whipped again. She said, had you had enough? I said, yeah, and with tears in my eyes, she said, I love you. Now go and don't do it again. Problem was I remember those things and how to surrender to that power greater than myself at the time called Grandma. But when I realized I was powerless over drugs, alcohol, when I realized I was powerless over sin or myself or self-centeredness, when I realized that I was powerless of all these things, then I got with some people that taught me, if you don't have that power in you, you better find somebody who does. Now, I got hooked up with some people like y'all that started showing me things like, yeah, you are powerless in your life, so unmanageable, but that must in that book that you read, the big book, not the bigger book, so I'm getting to that one. It says you must find a power greater than yourself. I had to find a grandma to hold me accountable. And I found that man to be Jesus. And he started pouring into me when I surrendered to him. I started pouring into me morals and values, things that I didn't know. And while I wanted to go get a job, go get a car, and go get what I thought my life was back, I surrendered to the process. And when I did that, I seen that the healing was right there. And he said, boy, just get up and walk. Stop looking at yourself the way all the sick ones around you see you and the way life sees you, and start looking at yourself the way I see you. And the way I see you is already healed, already made whole, already there. The problem is the process is to strip us of who we are so we can find out how we can walk.
Amen.
This is good. I'm gonna play this one back later. Listen, I brought my friends with me. We're going to talk about what it was like to want and find out really what it was we needed. Right? So I want you to welcome a good friend of mine. He got 7 months clean today. His name's Wes.
How y'all doing tonight? It's good to be in the house of the Lord. So I think that a lot of times it's about seasons. And from one moment to the next, I get into a new season. And the story in the Bible is he was laying on his season. He's seen that as where he was stuck at. I'm laying on this mat, and that's my pain, my regrets, my resentments, everything that I want to carry into the next season. Well, see, if I'm carrying everything from the last season, how can I receive something new in this season? How can I have the expectation of good when I'm still carrying everything, laying on that pain, residing in that? This is where I lay at. I lay in my pain. I lay in my guilt. I lay in my shame. I lay in everything that doesn't hold me. This is not who I am. I am not this Matt anymore. I'm going to get up and carry it in a different way, just like he did in the Bible. He started to carry that in a different way. Life is about a season. See, it's all right to know what happened in that season, but to get up, and when he got up and he carried that, Matt, he carried it to know this is where I've been. I'm going to learn something from it. I have something new in me. I have a new way to carry my pain. It's called learning from it. Not looking at it like this is who I am. My mistakes are not my Matt anymore. This is not who I am. For years, you could identify me as something. It wasn't who I did. I always thought about how people identified me. And validation was what I seeked a lot because it mattered to me what other people thought of me. So I tried to hide my Matt. And I was good at it for a while. I was good at hiding my Matt for a little bit, but then all of a sudden you could see it. I pretended to be something that I couldn't be. In each room I changed that I walked into. I was never able to love myself for me because I was too busy trying to hide who I really was. I was too busy trying to adjust myself for someone else. And always being stuck in that past letdown, that last season, that last time I tried to do something good. And it wasn't the story that someone else said about me. It was the story I said to myself. It was the story I told to myself. I couldn't escape that negative narrator of who I thought I was. My mistakes are not who I am today. I don't have to live on that mat anymore. I can get up and walk different because he said so. I can get up and walk different today. I might have a past that looks rocky, but I can get up and walk different with it today. I can use that past to show people that, hey, I might have made a mistake, but don't we all? I can get somewhere today by learning from my mistakes. I don't have to wear them with shame and guilt. I can't love myself for who I am today if I'm still hating myself for who I was yesterday. That's all I got.
Thank you, Wes. It's always fire. So it's amazing. When I came into my treatment and I surrendered to the fact that I can't do it my way, some other things started to be revealed to me in my life. When I started working step work and I started to realize that I need that grandma back in my life, that conscience back in my life, the morals back in my life, those things back, the integrity, the stuff that this program taught me and what God has taught me through this walk. I didn't know he was preparing me to face things that I wasn't ready to face and I was ready to run from, because after about 90 days clean, I was indicted by the federal government to go to prison. And I signed a plea deal for 10 years to life. And I thank God today that God put people around me that taught me about a word called acceptance. Because it wasn't about trying to get out of my mess anymore, but when I actually surrendered and gave myself to God and I turned to him, I find out that while we can work and sow seeds towards a better future, sometimes we have to deal with the wreckage of our past. I signed a deal. And I thought, Lord, whatever you want from me, if I got to go preach in prison, that's what I'm going to do. It just is what it is, what it is. And what I like about the story about this man taking up his bed and walk is he did it on the Sabbath day. Jesus broke the law to get this man up. What does that mean? That means the power that I experienced in my surrender on my step 3 was a love called agape love and a favor that only you can get from a king. Fully accepted of what I'm going to do. And I go into a federal courtroom and I'm facing all this time and it looks like the rest of my life. And the favor of God showed up in the courtroom and says, I came here to break the law today because the law says you should be in prison the rest of your life. But the grace of God says you're right here at Overcomers tonight. The law says that when you took that last shot and OD'd and fell out, it should have killed you. But I break the laws of this world because my kingdom's not of this world, because God comes in and supernaturally says, rise up and walk. This man should not be able to walk. He's been lame from birth. But when the power of God comes into your life, he opens blind eyes. He causes the dead to rise. Let me talk to you, because I was a dead man right here. And he gave me life. The moment that I surrendered to him, I died and resurrected somebody else different. This is the power. And then I learned it's not behavior modification. Oh, God. We ain't trying to teach you to practice to do the right things and go home in misery, but I'm talking about understanding the grace of God. I'm not a perfect man today. I'm by far not a perfect man and never, ever will be, period, because I've surrendered to the fact that he was the perfect man, and that's my solution today, that I can live vicariously through him. And then he took my shame, he took my guilt, and the sunlight of the truth hit me, not to reveal that pain, not to bring the law, but to say, I love you just the way you are. You ain't got to do nothing extra. You ain't got to try hard. He ain't looking for church attendance. He's looking for a right heart that has an acceptant heart that says, you know what? It don't matter what it is that happens to me in this world because I'm never going to die. Woo! You can't kill a man who has a laid down life, I promise you.
It's already done.
I love y'all. Mr. Ronnie, please share some of that hope with us, bub. Welcome, Ronnie. Come on.
I'm here to share my pain, here to share my story, and here to share my struggle. My story was definitely selfishly inspired. We talked about a topic a couple months ago about love, you know what I mean, in February, right? And love isn't a feeling, it's an action. You know what I mean, you choose to love. And I wasn't choosing to love myself by putting toxins in my body, by overdosing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Wasn't worried about my family and how they felt, you know what I mean? Because really, we struggle with addiction, but our families are the ones that sees us throwing our lives away. And let alone like Mother's Day coming up, and God bless anybody that doesn't have their mother here, you know what I mean? And I'm so thankful I get to talk to my mom tomorrow, and that's what keeps me sober right there. Like to be able to talk to my mom and be happy. She can sleep at night. It doesn't matter what I need. You know what I mean? It matters about my family, you know what I mean? How they feel. And I can't imagine what I put them through. And then, you know what I mean? Like how we all had that Overcomers event last week, you know? Like seeing families come out, you know what I mean? Even my family, like I neglected my family in my recovery the whole time, right? Because I've been so focused on the mission. And man, they came out and was so happy, you know what I mean? And talking to everybody and meeting some people, my brothers and sisters, you know? But now I recover in a way. The only way I know how to recover is open up about my struggles. That's when I started recovering, and it's like, I need help. Then that saved my life is when I said I need help. and I asked God for help. You know what I mean? He gave me the strength to carry it out, but I continue putting in that hard work. And, I have so much love. I was unable to love myself. And that was a huge one to open up about, because who wants to admit that they don't love themselves, Even other people can see it. My family could see it. My, friends that I didn't use could see it. You know what I mean? And today I still have days that I struggle with loving myself. But today God has given me the tools to be able to cope with my anxiety and depression, And it took me a long time to open up about my mental health, because I was like, if I open up about this, like, people are going to think I'm crazy. No, man. It happens to like 90% of America. We deal with anxiety, depression. And when I open up on that, I tell on my disease, And God has brought amazing people in my life today that bring the best out of me, that is there to, I can confine in without them going to gossip and all these behaviors, I can confine in them and they won't judge me. They'll be like, hey, are you all right? You want to go to a meeting? And I bring up my clean time all the time, not to boast about it, not at all. Like, it's really one day at a time with me still. But I bring it up because behind the scenes, like, I'm putting in work, like, with my spiritual mentors. My sponsor has like 35 years sobriety. Isn't that what we want, And my spiritual mentors help me like grow in my faith and everything. And, I still go to like 2 or 3 meetings a week, I still put in that work and I still work the steps after years of doing them, And, but the only way that I recover is I know what to do, but God gives me the strength to be able to do it. He'll give me, like, share of victory. My rebel self, I wanted to, I worked in the recovery field and I was like, man, I can't handle this 24 hours a day. I don't want recovery, to define me, right? So I switched jobs and I went to this company, right? I go in there and that place is filled with people wanting recovery and recovery. And I'm like, man. And I was like, okay, what is this, God? What you're trying to tell me? He's like, he tells me, I don't want to be in the recovery field because there's too many laws with it. Too many, you know what I mean? I can't build personal relationships like I want to. But he has me in a place now. I'm taking a guy to work the other day and he's nodding off. And I was like, I cannot handle this. I was like, no way. All right. So God puts it in me and is exactly how I was feeling. It doesn't matter how I feel, right? I start talking about God and what he's done for me. And this guy starts opening up. And I share some of my strength and I share him about this meeting, And he can come anytime. And the next day he comes in clean. And he says, I need to quit and I don't know how to. And he's like, I've lost my faith in the God, which I've been embarrassed to open up about. But how do, you know what I mean? And he's seen God, like how God worked in my life, and he started opening up. And at that point, then I go back to work, right? We get there. There's another guy. He's like, yeah, this guy's all about recovery. He goes to this meetings and dating and stuff like that. He's like, man, I would love me. And I'm like, all right, God, I see what you're trying to do in my life. I'm like, I surrender. I'm like, life is recovery, every day. And God will put you with people. He will put you in a place if you let him help you carry that bed. You know what I mean? And he'll bring amazing people like you guys have brought me back to life, brought this inspiration back into me. I smile, I laugh now. You know what I mean? I didn't do that a year ago because I was so broken. But with that, I pass, and God is great.
Thank you, Ronnie. All right. Y'all feeling this so far? All right. So imagine for a minute this man was sitting around for 38 years around the same old people in the same porch and the same thing. and he had his own idea of how things should work. And when I read this passage, I've been through it many times. I overlooked something that God showed me this week. And it was the fact that while that man got up and walked, all the people that thought they had the solution got to see the solution on the man that got up. At some point, once I surrendered to the process of my life, what was going to happen, and God's grace showed up on me, I have to back up to let you know there's so many small victories in my life that led up to what was going on in my life. Small things. The most powerful thing that I was ever taught was how to be grateful. We think deep, and we think that it takes something Superman solution to come into your life, when really it's all about your mind, your thinking, and perspective, and what you see. This man couldn't see no other way but the way he was, and I was lame. When God says you can get up and walk, he started thinking different. He started looking different. He said, let's start with this. Well, at least I'm still breathing today. I do have a mat. I do have some people around me. I don't know what that looks like, but I do have some things in my life that God can use. And God, when he comes to you in your brokenness, he doesn't ask you for anything except for what you have in your hand. And for me, it was a broken heart, and I'd lost everything. That's all he needed. That's all he needed. Because the desperation of this man's need was locked up in what he thought he wanted. But when God gave him what he really needed, he found out that's what he wanted the whole time. I'm not upset at this man that no man got up and picked him up a walk. I'm sorry if no one showed up in your situation to help you, but it was the very thing that we needed to get us desperate enough to start looking in the right direction to where God was. I ain't sorry for my past or where I was, but I'm about to pick up this mat and walk and tell somebody, you know what? I ain't mad today that I was an alcoholic. I'm not mad today that I was locked up in prison. I'm not upset at that no more. I'm ashamed of the things I did, but God took that shame, told me pick that mat up and walk with it, because it was the very thing that drove me to my knees. Thank God today that he was able to take all things, not just some things in my life, all things, and turn them around to the good, to what? Those that love him and are called according to his purpose. He takes all those things. What is the mat that this man picked up? It represented everything that he used to be. And in the moment that he picked this up and he rose up and walked, he went straight in, and everybody started asking, and how is this possible? He said, because a man named Jesus came into my life and told me,
take out my bed and walk. And the thing that used to carry me, I'm not carrying it. And that's how this whole process works.
So I'm happy to say today that God has a question for you. Do you want to be made whole? So welcome my friend Eric.
My story is a little bit different. Ever since high school, starting in my family, my father and my brother were addicts. My brother started in high school. We had two addicts living together. And I looked at how their life was going. I don't want that. My entire life, literally, I have spent around addicts, alcoholics. And I kept asking God, why am I here? Why am I keep asking, no questions, but I'm still surrounded by these people that want to do this stuff. And I keep trying to tell them, this isn't good for you. You can't be doing it. And then of course I get called the goody and stuff. Later on in life, I was in the military. This happened to be like one of the hottest years in Europe. So we're all pounding beers. It was Friday night. We were at the Officers Club. 10 o'clock, last call. So there were 7 of us. Each of us ordered 2 pitchers of beer. Well, we had to be out by 11. So everybody's just pounding this beer while we're playing crud. So they closed the Officers Club, and they're like, where do we go now? And I looked at the pilots, and I said, well, we're going to the enlisted club. Well, how are we getting in? I said, you got friends. And at this point, drinking to me was just, it was just a binge thing. I really, you know, wouldn't like, I got to have that drink or anything like that. But what happened was that next morning, I just made a serious statement to God. I woke up, I was just parched dry. My mouth was like a desert. I looked up. In Europe, unless you're at a high-end hotel, there's no air conditioning. I looked up, the fan was spinning around, all that stuff, and I'm like, God, I'm not going to make you any promises. I want to tell you right now, I'm done with this. Just show me what you want me to do. But I can't do this anymore. It's just hard to do this. And I don't want to end up like some friends of mine that have died from alcohol poisoning. I said, this just isn't right. Show me what you want me to do. And ever since I've had that serious talk, I've been walking with God. And it's every day I have a little talk with God. Show me what you want me to do today. Where can I go? I'm here to do your will. Show me. Give me a sign. Tell me what you want to do. And every day it's the same thing. Because I met back up with my niece, who was raised in circumstances that I had no control over, but I couldn't see her because she was staying with her mom, and her mom dealt. And eventually her mom got busted. But I couldn't go to the house because I had a clearance. At the time, I literally knew half the deputies in Clark County. I couldn't be seen on that property. And I've talked to her since. I said, look, you got to get rid of this. And she's clean and sober now. She's been clean and sober for 3 years now. And we have a relationship now that we never had before. And she made a statement to me one time. She said, I wish you would have been my dad. And I'm like, I don't know how that would have worked out. I mean, I can tell you one thing. You wouldn't have gone down this road as a teenager or a youngster. But every day, I mean, like I said, I'm drawn around these people that want to drink and do drugs and stuff. And I'm like, I just don't do it. So I try to talk to them. What do you want? What do you need? Do you want to keep doing this? Well, you need to go here. So I support you guys that are in this room tonight, because just to let you know, it's just as tough on this side of the fence of somebody that never had the addiction as it is for you guys, because we know there's a lot of talent out in this room. You just have to want to get rid of it. You need better for yourself. Everybody in this room will be better tomorrow than they were today, because you're working on that. And with that, I'll give it back to Donnie.
All right. So I want to open up the floor to you guys. Anyone that wants to share on this topic or has anything you want to pray about. We're having technical difficulties with our wireless mic, so I'll come around with it and you can pretend like it works. So who wants to share?
No, honestly, no. A lot of stuff that, okay, a lot of stuff he's talking about, last, Donnie, probably, is the stuff that Donnie was talking about. A lot of you guys were talking about. I need to go to treatment. And I tried playing, this is what I really want to do. I had prospect for how many treatment centers I'm in. We talked about, he said, let's save that bed for somebody that really, you know, and at that time I was like, Chris Wallen or talks about the Adderall, you know, I really don't want to be up, but I heard God's voice in my head, in my mind saying, sorry, you know, he can do this. You know, and you know, my story was that I was continuing to press forward and trust in God on a daily basis, understand that I have back. Again, I didn't give up. But what I did was I had a vision in my life that was supposed to help people. The message was you're going to help people just like you. And I'm like, man, I don't know what you're talking about, God. But I'm like, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust what you got for me. I was like, and now I'm working in the treatment field. And you're supposed to be careful what you say. I stood up to me and said, as much as I want to see people grow in the treatment center, I want to see them grow outside of the treatment center. And God gave me grace where they don't even say nothing to me. They don't even say nothing because this is my passion is watching you guys be the same. Watching Donnie get coming what he went through, going to prison, come back out and still having that showed me that God is real. And for me, I can't express how much gratitude that I have for God because, man, he pulled me out of the case of death and said, I got a plan for you and a purpose. And I said, whatever it is, I'm continuing to do it.
Nauseous, shaky, sweaty. I just wanted to throw up because it was that time of year. It was warm. I was walking and getting high last month. So this last week, I was like, I don't want to do that. So I tell myself, I don't want to get high. I don't want to get high. So I'm not sleeping up. I refocused myself. I broke out my recovery. I don't know why I woke up in that phase, but it was just weird. So I have to tell myself to try to get myself in the mindset. And I don't understand. I'm like, this is what I need.
Good.
Wakey, wakey.
Hi, I'm Sarah, Grateful Recovery Addict.
Hi, Sarah.
So, my active addiction, I was so focused on not knowing what it felt like to be loved. Myself. And up until I didn't know what self-love was, right? From my God. I've learned that all I can do is love myself because I don't need anybody else to love that. And I love myself, I'm able to love other people. I don't carry around all my pain and my hurt no more. What I'm going through, I don't carry it. Eventually, it's going to help somebody. But it doesn't mean I need to carry that weight around. It's going to get me nowhere. So free. I now have a female sponsor. lot of people at work are complaining about this job. It might be just Wendy's to you, but like I get a paycheck. Like the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I got shoes I get to tie. It's amazing. Like it's the little things in life that matter. And that's all I got.
He just recently went to Richmond, got high, overdose. He's brain dead. They're taking him off life support tomorrow morning and letting him go. So pray for his family, you know. And if anybody feels like getting high, go talk to somebody.
Definitely gonna pray for that man tonight. Brings up a good point. You only one decision away from making the rest of your life. Always reach out. You're a room full of people who care about you and care about your life and your family. Get a sponsor, get someone's number right before you leave. If you feel like using, tell somebody. Anybody else got anything you want to share?
I got something to share.
Okay.
So last Thursday, we have a 12 and 12, right? The book study. And you guys are more welcome to attend to it. It's a phenomenal meeting. So when we were like reading step 12, right? And step 12, now on page 119 in this awesome book, right? It says they need to be sure as possible that no deep-lying emotional handicap in either will be likely to rise up under later pressure to cripple them. So pretty much it just, it relates to John chapter 1 through 6 when Jesus went to the crippled man when we were out there panhandling, right? And we see all these people passing us by because they're moving on with their lives, and here we are stuck and trying to just just survive on a penny. And it takes for me a lot of gratitude to tell myself I had enough, I surrender, and Jesus, take the wheel. And then I have to walk my mat, and the mat is metaphorically to don't forget where you came from, because those addicts out there, twacked out, they're lost. And you may be making fun of them, but remember, you used to be like that too. Me, us, well. And if they're like asking for help or any type of way, just remember that is Jesus asking you for help.
First and foremost, I want to thank you for the I've been so solo. I put money over job for so long. Got rid of my job because I was afraid that my job was going to fall through. Now, if I got to the point that, fellowship is the key factor of everything. When taking up the mat for me, it's like picking up the cross. If the cross is already here, he already took everything for us. And it brings me to the understanding of emancipation. Just like the slaves, they didn't know they were set free, so they lived in slavery. They lived in slavery for so long after they were set free. We're set free. It says in Romans chapter 4, verse 17, within there it says, speak it as though that a word, even though that it's not. The key factor of word, the word right there is word. God already said it, wait for Christ. Overcomers is in the book of Romans. The God are overcomers. In the biggest sense that what I'm getting from you is if you see yourself the way God saw you as that word, man, you are so free to embrace it. The struggle is real. The struggle is for you, not to you. It is to purify your mind, your body, your life. It's keep well before you, and I want to thank God for this person. because I've been so lonely. Even though I wasn't alone, God said, man, you got to start fellowship. So today, he blessed me with 2 jobs for one. And he didn't put me in so it's like, if you get it, it's like he put the roof over. And I'm setting free. Instead of working in a factory, I'm doing my own boss. So the God is just so amazing. Just man. With that, okay, thank you. Got time for one more. Go ahead, bro. Careful. And I want to say that today I'm grateful, man, for God redirecting me, man. I was in a life of thinking that being high and being drunk was life, and that being sober was not so cool. So now He was redirecting me to know that the sober life is where I'm supposed to be at. And I never been so high or being sober off the love that the Lord has gave me today. Because every day I wake up now, I can feel like me. I can be happy.